Today is on building platforms for augmented reality success. We have some product releases for you today, a couple demos, use cases, lots of good stuff. So we hope you stick with us throughout the duration. Just a couple items I want to share with you. We are recording the webinar. We will share that after the presentation today, so keep a lookout for that. We do have some time set aside for live Q&A at the end of the presentation. So go ahead and submit your questions that you have throughout the presentation at the bottom of your Zoom screen using the Q&A button. Also, we encourage you to follow us on social media. So here are our accounts for LinkedIn and Twitter. CB Tech Inc. is the handle. So let me introduce our team that we have for you today. Myself, Rondi Leneker, I am the events manager here at CBT. We also have Michael Stebick. He is our solution manager for wearable compute here at CBT. He's going to walk us through some trends and how they relate to the topic today. We also are dropping a link in the chat right now where you can look to book 30 minutes with our expert. So go ahead and pick a time that works for you if you are interested. And lastly, from PTC, we have Alex Keisar. He is the Augmented Reality Field Engineer Principal. And he has got some good stuff for us, some good demos, a couple product releases, and more. So excited to dive into that. With that, I will turn it over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Rondi. So today we're going to be talking about building platforms for augmented reality success with us, CBT, as well as PTC. So it's important to know what is going on in the industry. One of the biggest trends right now is the advantage of taking advantage of the edge. There's a lot going on. Data is being generated at the edge, and data is being pushed to the edge as well. So what are the trends when we take the concept of the edge into consideration? IT/OT, which is information technology and operational technology integration, is one of the biggest ones. And the thought process of what's going on from the sensor to the core IT to take advantage of the data. There are a lot of different types of data coming in a variety of different forms. Data is being generated at the edge. Data is being generated at the core, generated by business systems in between. So how do we take advantage of that data and make correlations between that disparate data to drive business decisions from the analysis of the data? And how do we visualize it, especially for workers at the edge, to help make important decisions? Security is always top of mind as well for everyone and is another hot topic in the industry. You have vulnerability at the edge, devices at the edge. So how do you lock them down and secure them? How do we control access to the edge as well? What connectivity is being used? Potential intrusions from the cloud or even to the core, so you need a comprehensive security strategy. As I talk about these trends, you will notice a common thread or a common theme that ties these trends together. So here's some more trends I'd like to talk about. Previous slide, please. Here's some more trends I'd like to talk about. It's increasing productivity. How do we take advantage of our workers without increasing cost? How do we enable them to do more? The age-old question in any industry is how to make their workers more productive and effective and empowered to make decisions, which is a big consideration and something we will talk about more. Another huge issue is device bloat. How do you take advantage of all the capabilities of a variety of different devices without having a massive number of devices on hand? Whether it's handhelds, iPhones, tablets, scanners, laptops, head-mounted compute, there are a lot of devices out there bringing a variety of capabilities. How do you slim that down to take advantage and drive productivity without device bloat? Safety is always important as well. Safety of our workers, safety of field employees in a hazardous environment that requires certain security precautions, whether it's Class 1, Division 1, or simply workers in their normal day-to-day ops. If they fall or get injured, how do we know about it real time and send assistance to them? Safety is a huge consideration in identifying and detecting threats. Once again, there's a common theme tying this all together. We'll be talking about more in a second. So cloud, how do we work with the cloud, especially while considering the edge? Anyone talking about the edge would usually talk about the cloud as part of the edge. Now the cloud is part of that compute core or that core repository for business solutions and core repository for apps that drive business value. Are we sending that data straight from sensors at the edge straight to the cloud? Are we bypassing the core? And how do we get that data back when we have workers at the edge needing that data to take action on? Cloud, when done right, can lower the overall cost structure of how data is stored as well as act upon in the environment. But ultimately, how does that data get to the worker? One of the last trends that is a hot topic is ubiquitous connectivity. How are workers getting connectivity into the main infrastructure or the data of the business? Is it through public connectivity, like an iPhone and having to lock it down as it comes into the work environment? Or is it private connectivity like Wi-Fi in an industrial environment? There's a need to have high-speed access everywhere to get the data to the worker to be able to have actionable information as part of their job. So what you've noticed here is a common theme, and that common theme is the connected worker. And connected worker is the best way to kickstart getting into industrial IoT. Connected worker has a tie into all these different industry trends and the jump into the IoT journey. It's not a point solution or a single activity to drive business value. Connected worker enables and allows the ability to take advantage of that real-time data as well as in a safe and effective manner. We're going to talk about more here of connected worker in the next following slides. But first, before we talk more about connected worker, why CBT? CBT is uniquely positioned to deliver these solutions. The differentiation is the ability to build the bridge, the skills and the ability to leverage both IT and OT. No other IT or OT companies are doing that. For the industrial IoT and business transformation to be successful, you need IT and OT working together on common goals and outcomes. We unite unique technology solutions with business initiatives to meet an end result. So why is CBT for AR? Well, we have the knowledge built from experience across many different verticals and use cases. We have world-class IT and OT engineers with real-world experience to deliver successful outcomes and deliver the ROI needed. We deliver customized solutions and integrations with complex existing systems. We recently did this for one of our customers, integrating PTC's Vuforia engine into an existing training application. We customized, built, and delivered the entire AR experience for them. We also leverage holistic IIoT platforms that leverage AR for the entire organization. We have the best in breed partnerships and ecosystem to deliver the entire solution needed, from edge to core, wearable compute, custom integrations, as well as professional services for training and support of these solutions. PTC being one of those partners who's an industry leader in AR solutions. We'll be hearing from Alex Keisar after me. So I'd like to talk about this quote real quick because I think it's pretty powerful. It comes from Howard Heppelman, the VP and General Manager of Smart Connected Operations at PTC. I'll read the quote and just kind of talk through it real quick. The ecosystem is absolutely critical. You know, HP could come in and PTC could come in, and we could have independent conversations with customers about what our technologies do. But someone like CBT can come in and sort of bring that together, layered across the other things that need to be done as well, and bootstrap your organization to fundamentally catapult into a much higher level of velocity into the transformational effort. That's a very powerful quote because, again, you could go out and work with all these different solutions, but working with one company like CBT who has experts in the relationships to bring it all together is so much more powerful. So I'd like to talk about the CBT approach for a second. The CBT approach is to start lean. So we use design thinking to reduce risk before you invest, implement, and integrate into your operations. We be agile. So we ideate and innovate at speeds with agile-led thinking to shape future experiences. We drive with data. Data insights, use cases, user interviews, and testing to make informed product decisions. And finally, we build for scale. We want to build an innovation and validation engine that anticipates enterprise scale and complexity. So how do we tie this all in? We have our process called IDaaS, which is Innovation Delivery as a Service. It all starts with the quick start, which we'll hear about in the next couple slides as well. But this is an abbreviated design thinking exercise led by our product teams to help your leaders experience and integrate the best in product development strategy. As you see there, we go from pilot, benchmarking, and validation to finally to launch and scale. So what is a quick start? This is our type of design thinking ideation session. It's usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we can do these remote or on site. The amount of people typically ranges from about 4 to 25, and that quick start is a sprint session used to make quick progress around complex needs and develop concrete next steps for a wide range of business challenges. Quick starts play a crucial role in uncovering strategic organizational opportunities, unifying teams around a common goal, and laying the foundation to build world-class enterprise technology solutions. So what does the quick start process kind of look like? Well, it starts with the discovery of outcomes. This is where we kind of find and prioritize the use cases that are going to deliver the quick and most important ROI for your organization. Then we go to more of a demo and solution overview, where we kind of recommend what we're thinking is the best in breed solution to address those challenges. We do our design thinking exercises with anyone from the end user to management, and as well as our champions, to make sure it is getting that stakeholder buy-in as well. And finally, we do the roadmap of the solution, laying out how we're going to start small and then scale quick as part of our crawl, walk, run methodology. Another quote I wanted to show just about the quick start is, it's really awesome that Jessica Milligan from Milwaukee Tool, and she's the manager of digital training programs, she said this about CBT's quick start. CBT's quick start design process helped us identify that our internal team needed to take a step back and gain alignment instead of working off of assumptions. By pausing and partnering with CBT, we were able to better define our objectives to ensure the success of the project. This was very powerful because they had kind of thought exactly what they wanted to do as far as their AR and digital transformation journey. And we kind of had them take a step back, believe it or not, talk through that process, and actually ended up changing them and getting on a better path forward that's completely changed the way they're doing their training program. So now I'm going to turn it over to Alex Keisar, and he's going to be doing his part from PTC. Take it away, Alex.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. I'm going to share my screen. If someone can please confirm that you can see it, we'll get going.
You're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, my name is Alex Keisar. I'm a AR field engineer here at PTC. I've been with PTC for about 4 years now. My role is primarily around the pre-sale side of introducing augmented reality technology, discussing use cases and value and different solutions to problems that customers have, pain points, initiatives, and so on. So really excited to be here, working quite a lot with partners, and CBT definitely stands out as an absolute leader in integrating and thinking big and looking at the digital thread and the bigger picture in their engagement. So happy to be here. Let's take a bit of a step back and just to reintroduce a little bit for whoever is a little less familiar. PTC is a software company who have been around for over 35 years now. Our heritage is in digital design. So we started in CAD. and then grew into product lifecycle management or PLM, and kind of got a good dominance in the digital design space. With evolution of technologies and the need to get a good picture understanding of everything that's going on, we also started growing into the physical space by adopting industrial IoT technology, augmented reality technology, and most recently spatial computing. So we're a global company working in many different verticals. We have a very big ecosystem of partners, software integrators, resellers, and so on, that really help us drive real, tangible operational value to our customers. So where do we see opportunities for augmented reality across the kind of life cycle of a product or value chain? Michael mentioned a few use cases that we're really focusing on, but really AR can be leveraged anywhere and everywhere, from ideation through the operation and end of life of a product. Design engineers want to share their designs, provide some good quality review, and iterate quickly. They do that with augmented reality. We want to introduce products or updates or new innovation. We do that with augmented reality. When time comes to perform assembly, manufacturing, and later on also service of different components, units, or products, we're leveraging AR and additional systems to bring into the user's view the correct information, the accurate information, and right at the tips of the fingers, to really get what they need at the right moment, overlaid in their physical environment, really helping them to understand what they need to do out of the vast majority of information that is possibly available to them. And of course, educating the customer, educating users how to use different tools, machinery, how to get trained on safety aspects, and so on. So really AR has a big place in the industrial world, and we're happy to be leading the technology on that. So what is PTC's augmented reality platform? This is a platform called Vuforia. It's a veteran company that's been around for many years, and we've acquired that several years ago. Vuforia is a brand of PTC that recently celebrated its 1 millionth developer in our developer community. It's the fastest, easiest, and most advanced AR content development platform in the market. It has the widest variety of supported platforms and operating systems, widest variety of ways to actually look at the physical environment and what's called track on it or augment it with digital information. I'm going to touch on that in several slides here. And it's really helped our customers reach real value in the industrial space with augmented reality. On top of the basic or the baseline engine core that powers our augmented reality solutions, we've decided several years ago to also build tools and platforms to help our customers achieve value much quicker, whether it's solutions that have their capabilities and built for their specific needs, through platforms that allow people to build AR content quickly without the necessary need to develop any additional applications, platforms, hosting, security solutions, and so on. And of course, you can always leverage the software development kit to build your bespoke applications with a big flexibility on what you can do, both on the application side and of course, on the augmented reality side. But me saying this, CBT saying this is one thing. The other thing is actually getting recognized. So PTC and specifically Vuforia has been recognized as the leader and the thought definer in the AR space for many years now. So this is just a few of the examples that we've seen in the near past. So about a month ago, or actually exactly a month ago, we had a similar session. This is part 2, as mentioned before. And we talked about 2 key needs where AR really brings value. One of them is provide remote assistance. We solved that by leveraging a tool called Vuforia Chalk to really provide a you see what I see, providing me help with augmented reality in real time. The other aspect is how do we take knowledge from employees who are experts, trained, or want to train, and scale it quickly across the organization. And this is something that we leverage another solution of ours called Vuforia Expert Capture. So I highly encourage you, when you get this deck, or if you search on CBT's website, you can catch the recording, lots of useful information, examples, and general discussion on these solutions that we provide. Today, we're going to focus a little bit on how do we achieve the bigger picture of actually building a platform that will allow you to scale, that will allow you to connect to business processes, that will allow you to leverage your existing tools and then add the augmented reality power to them as well. So the main key things that we want to achieve are to provide training or work instructions to the field in 2D, 3D fashion, both on mobile devices and headsets and so on. And we also want to leverage augmented reality technology to visualize products, demonstrate products, see how they look like, see how they perform, how they fit into their intended environment, whether it's addition to a physical tool or just dropping something on the floor and seeing it, being immersed in it and being able to understand really how it looks like. So that's really part of a bigger picture or a bigger approach called the digital thread. How do we make sure that we tie all the visual data or all the additional supplemental data together, all the way from CAD through the various OT IT systems and into the headset or mobile device of the user. So we'll take a look at some examples and some solutions in this space. Before that, I am very excited to introduce a new tool coming in about 2 months now, in the end of May. That's called Vuforia Instruct. Vuforia Instruct is a solution, so it's allowing our customers to quickly create 3D work instructions using 3D data, update them or add additional content, whether it's videos or pictures or text instructions, inspection points, and some other instructions that are leveraging the 3D geometry. Use that 3D geometry to actually lock in or recognize the physical shape and place augmentations on top of that to really guide the user where they need to do something and what they need to do when they get to that specific component or anchor. All that while collecting all the performance information, visual evidence, pass-fail results, and so on, in a way that later we can get a good understanding of also the insights on how the execution actually happened. So lots more to come on this new product. Very excited to see where it's going and where the Vuforia toolbox is growing into. Stay tuned to hearing a lot more on this in the next weeks and months. But let's go back to the digital thread for a second. So how do we scale AR in an enterprise where we have lots of systems, lots of processes, lots of different considerations we need to look into, lots of different users or roles that need to participate in that and contributors to the overall process, whether they're people or systems or edge devices or machines? Well, we are partnering the best-in-class AR platform, which is Vuforia, with the best-in-class digital thread suite, which is kind of the bigger picture that PTC brings to the table. If we leverage AR to really be the endpoint, the user visualization, the user interaction point, where we take their insights of the users, bring them back into the entire process. We take the process relevant information like work instructions, alerts, live IoT data, analytics results, and so on to visualize to the user. We're completing the digital thread all the way from design through physical readings and into the user's arms or user's head. Let's take a look at an example of how one of those tools called Vuforia Studio was leveraged for one of our customers, Howden, to really achieve that.
Today, industrial companies are facing serious issue around downtime. Industry reports suggest that a single hour can cost between $1 and $5 million. At PTC, we are helping our industrial customers reduce downtime through Vuforia mixed reality and augmented reality solutions. PTC's Vuforia Studio solution allows customers to easily drag and drop and create a mixed reality experience in hours instead of days or weeks. Using PTC's Vuforia Studio, one of our industrial customers, Howden, was able to easily and quickly create a mixed reality experience.
Howden is an original equipment manufacturer. Our products can be found in virtually every air and gas application. If this equipment ever goes offline, it costs a lot of money.
Compressor is a critical equipment within the wastewater plant. Plant operators are not typically expert of compressors.
Our customers are looking for us for solutions to empower them and how to best service their equipment.
Today, Howden is pulling Thingworx data that's operating on an Azure IoT cloud, and it's overlaying that information in context through mixed reality.
We're overlaying the digital twin data on the physical product to show our customers the operating condition and the performance of the equipment.
Literally at their fingertip, we can provide 160 years of compressor knowledge.
Using Microsoft HoloLens, that customer experience is truly immersive, and you get to understand a lot more, and it's just a new way of looking at your equipment that you've never had before.
With the PTC Vuforia solution and the Microsoft HoloLens together, I think we can really provide a transformative experience for our customers in the industrial market.
So going back to kind of the platform itself, so the entire Howden solution was built using Vuforia Studio to provide the augmented reality portion of the entire kind of solution toward the service technician. Vuforia Studio is a platform that PTC built to help achieve value quicker than building your own application from scratch. Meaning we've built several tools like the authoring environment and the viewing application that is supporting multiple different platforms for mobile and 2D eyewear, 3D eyewear like the HoloLens 1 and 2, RealWear HMT devices, phones and tablets, iOS and Android Windows, and so on. So you won't have to worry about that. You won't have to figure out what happens when Apple releases a new iOS update. It's 14.4.1 now. What do we do with compatibility because something changed? That's all part of what PTC provides. How do you store information in the most efficient way? How do you access it? How do you integrate with IoT data and other services? That's, again, something that's been solved by the Vuforia Studio platform and its supporting tools. So in this case, you are really focusing on creating your content, bringing in your 3D models, bringing those step-by-step sequenced animations, choosing how do you augment or how do you recognize geometry and lock your digital information on top of that, whether it's by using simple graphical anchors, picking a spot on the floor on the table, or even doing some more advanced things like locking in on an actual 3D shape or geometry of your product to put all the augmented information around it in the most accurate way. And at least in my view, really the biggest benefit of using Vuforia Studio on top of the AR itself is its native IoT integration with our Thingworx IoT platform. That means that every interface we need to do, whether it's to collaborate between several users, connect to different systems, provide some reporting capability, leverage live data coming from sensors and so on, we do that with Thingworx already solving that for us without the need to rebuild all those interfaces in Studio or even worse, on the device itself. So I mentioned that, and the Howden video mentioned that as well. But what is Thingworx? I'm not going to dive into that too much, as Thingworx is a whole set of webinars on its own. But Thingworx is an industrial Internet of Things platform from PTC. We're using that to connect at scale to interfacing systems, third-party different enterprise systems, to connect to edge devices, to connect to different sources of information, and then to analyze them, manage them in an efficient way, and visualize them to users in forms of web pages that are showing information, dashboards, analytics results, and so on. It's a very powerful, very flexible platform, has lots of capabilities. I highly encourage to learn up a little bit on that. It is, as Vuforia, also recognized as a leader in the industrial IoT connectivity and innovation space. On top of that, Thingworx also has what we call accelerators, or different baselines to start building your own applications, so you can get to those again quicker and with value much quickly than building everything from scratch, even though you do have Thingworx as your platform. One of those examples that we leverage heavily for manufacturing is called Operator Advisor. An Operator Advisor is a framework that allows you to build your application to execute work instructions. Whether you need to connect to external systems to get those work instructions and provide a baseline to execute them, create work orders, track users' performance, track their feedback, advanced steps, present the information in 2D, 3D views, and so on, different tools list, parts list, and everything that helps them understand what they need to do when they're actually on the front line, on the shop floor, or author those work instructions in Operator Advisor itself to provide somewhat of an MES-like solution to your overall operation and really help people drive visual work instructions to the shop floor. So this is Operator Advisor is one of the examples that I like to leverage when we talk about AR, because since Vuforia Studio, and Operator Advisor are both based on Thingworx or integrated with Thingworx, we can leverage the information from Operator Advisor to conveniently, in a templatized way, bring it into an augmented reality templated experience where we will build the user interface, all the interaction points, the buttons, the gestures, where data comes in, and so on. But all the data is going to come live from Operator Advisor when we launch the experience. So that allows us to create very few templates and drive the data in runtime from the system that's actually managing the execution, which is in this case Operator Advisor. And it's really a kind of a mantra that we have at PTC, that we want to make sure that we're providing tools that will allow you to author every type of content in one place. Maybe not the same place, but in one place. So if Thingworx Operator Advisor or some other third-party connected tool provides us work instructions, we want to make sure that the other tools are able to leverage them to actually execute or interact with them without the need to manually copy, paste, recreate, and so on, and actually break the digital thread. And if you want to make this message a little stronger, if you are advanced or deployed with Windchill, our product lifecycle management solution from PTC, we also have a connector to Operator Advisor that will allow you to get all the work instructions created in Windchill in a module called NPM Link, Manufacturing Process Planning, live into your Operator Advisor environment. So everything that has to do with BOMs and 3D models and animated sequences, all of that in a connected way, change managed way, release workflow way, is all done in Windchill. Thingworx Operator Advisor consumes that content and creates specific work orders for execution. And then the augmented reality templated experience takes that content, the relevant content where AR will really bring additional value, and present that to the user so they can be hands-free, so they can take the mobile device and walk over, so they can project the data overlaid on their work cell or on a physical device and really get immersed in the work instructions that they need to consume every step of the way. As an example, Volvo, we recently built a solution with them using Vuforia Studio and some other components to drive quality inspections. In their case, basically every type of model and of their engines can be based on a very complex list of pick and choose, basically, configuration. So they have tons and tons of different potential configurations, permutations of engines, and creating purpose-built inspection content or purpose-built inspection sequence for each of those serial numbers of engines is just not scalable. You just cannot do that in a reasonable time. When we connect Windchill, Operator Advisor, Vuforia Studio, we are able to provide down to the serial number dynamically created inspection sequence or steps all the way to the user's headset or tablet. And when they go about performing their inspection, they're able to also provide their insight, pass, fail, visual evidence, and so on to really track the specific execution, again, down to the serial number of a specific engine. And all of that is done in runtime. All of that is done live, right to the fingertips of the operator. And the outcomes are impressive. They are saving tons and tons of money on creating this content, tons and tons of money on reducing errors that are caused by inaccurate or too general information. And of course, the main thing that's shown in the last bullet here is the 60% reduction in time to perform an inspection. So that's a huge, huge benefit for Volvo and of course for other similar use cases. Similar to manufacturing, we can also connect the digital thread for service. When we bring in work instructions from the various relevant sources that are managing customer-related information, like CRM systems that are understanding what is this customer's current service package, what is the unit that they have, and what configuration or sub-configuration they have, and so on, we're able to visualize to service technicians in this example we're seeing here the instructions that are relevant to this specific vehicle, whether it's to perform fixes, to perform recalls, and any other, let's say, accessorizing or things like that, that are filtered down and scaled all the way to this specific vehicle. And when time comes to actually visualize them, then we are overlaying them on the actual physical vehicle, so whoever is performing the operation can know exactly what comes when, where, and how it works to the most accurate way possible. But again, looking at the big picture of the digital thread, when we talk about performing service, many times you need to identify a part to see what replacement you need. Sometimes these parts are different because there's some obsolescence management that happened along the way and parts were replaced with newer models. Where do we get those newer parts from? What's the quantity available in the warehouse? How many we need to get? And of course, all the way back to service information management systems that are giving us all this rich information that we're able to leverage in our augmented reality experience and kind of connect them to each other to create this unified flow, or the central way of the user to interact with the task at hand and perform it on the most accurate way possible. On a broader scale, if we want to develop our AR applications to be more visual, more stunningly and impressive, various use cases of sales and marketing or product visualizations that industrial tools may not be the best suitable for, or if we talk about very complex use cases, we also have our software development kit that's called Vuforia Engine that allows you to take it into your favorite mobile app development platform like Unity, Xcode, UWP, and build your own application with full flexibility, a full way of developing the features, the functionality, the scope, the flow that you need, and then leverage the power of Vuforia to create the augmented reality piece of it. So when we talk about use cases where we want to visualize some product information in a stunning way, or we want to scale it in a very large space and so on, we would use the Vuforia engine. And the engine itself is what's providing us the computer vision component that looks at the physical space, identifies it, understands it in 3D, and then provides us the way to say, okay, this is where data will come in when you actually bring it from the relevant system, let's say to visualize a vehicle, to visualize a video, to visualize some 3D components. And the engine supports a very wide variety of ways to recognize the environment, all the way from very simple graphical two-dimensional markers that we call view marks or image targets, so ideal for brochures, to have something pop out of the brochure and show you some new product or something unique, and all the way to very advanced features like advanced model targeting, where you are actually giving the engine a 3D CAD model of what you're going to track on, and it creates an AI leveraged to create a model target will allow you to look at this specific geometry from any angle and identify exactly where you are. So when we talk about a vehicle, for example, no matter where you point at it, you will be able to understand, or the device will be able to understand where it is and overlay the information in an accurate way. It's an evolution of the standard model targets we used to have or still have that require you to also choose an angle of approach where it's going to be required to look at. So the 360 target allows you to actually disregard that. And one of the most recent advancements we've made is what's called area targets. So with area targets, unlike any other target that's mostly a single source, area target allows you to bring in a large scan, a large 3D scan of an office or a floor or an entire factory into the tool. And wherever you are on this floor and you take out your device or you put on your headset and you look at it, it will recognize where it is and help you understand all the additional spatial information around you in a very, very accurate way. So we're doing this with airports, we're doing this with factory floors, we're doing this with small, medium, and large office spaces. And that really is a huge shift from a single point of origin. Even in the 360 case, you're still looking at some specific object, and all the way to gigantic floors, shop floors, factories, and so on. So this is a huge leap, huge advancement working across all devices. And look it up on the Vuforia website. There's lots and lots of examples and tools on how to create them. We're supporting different devices that are performing the 3D scan. So, and lots more is coming. I can guarantee you that lots more is coming. So Vuforia, as I mentioned, it's the most flexible, most widely adopted engine to create AR content, and for a good reason. Let's take a look at a quick example before we finish this piece of the presentation. Infinity, the auto manufacturer, they had a show coming up that was obviously before COVID times, and they wanted to allow you to get more information about their QX50 upcoming vehicle. Back then it was upcoming. How do you do that? How do you do it in a way that's beyond brochures or videos or these marketing slides that are running in the background? Well, AR is the ideal way to do that. So we're able to build, using one of our other partners, an AR application that looks at the vehicle, identifies it geometrically, and is able to overlay additional information on it, like main components, and visualize them and explode them and show them in different views and configurations and so on. If you're a little bit less familiar with this, tracking on vehicles is one of the most difficult things that AR has to deal with. Shiny reflective surfaces basically function as mirrors. Understanding the geometry from them is a nightmare. And doing that with Engine actually proved itself to be very accurate because Engine does understand how to deal with these types of surfaces and how to overcome the reflectiveness and shininess to provide you with accurate tracking and accurate augmentations. Let's take a look at this example. I'm going to mute the cool music in the background just to be able to talk about it a little bit. So we're going to see here a view from the expo floor. We see this beautiful brand new vehicle that was there. And when they point this tablet to the vehicle, it recognizes the vehicle and then puts information in an accurate place. In this case, it shows you where the engine is. And then you're able to bring this engine to the front of your view, rotate it, spin it, see how it performs, different parameters, explode it, and of course, bring it back to the accurate place in the vehicle and go to a different place to see so many more components or more features or more capabilities of it. So the engine provides, our engine, the Vuforia engine, provides the ability to really keep this consistent tracking, keep this consistent understanding of this is the object that I need to look for. This is the object that I need to recognize. And from there, you build your custom bespoke application to perform the visualization, the stunning menus, the way to interact with it, and perform any task that's relevant for the needs of your specific application. So lots of flexibility there, like I mentioned, from software development kit to a platform like Vuforia Studio, and all the way to solutions that provide you immediate value, like Chalk, Expert Capture, and the upcoming Instruct tool. So this is the end of my piece. I'm going to turn presentation back to Randy and Michael. And of course, if we have any questions, by all means.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, we do have a couple questions, but I just want to remind everyone, go ahead and use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you do have a further question. But quickly, before we dive into a couple, Alex, I just wanted to touch on that product release that you shared with us early on. How can our audience get their hands on that? What are the next steps?
The next step is, as I mentioned, we're releasing it in May 27. And prior to that, we're going to enable our sales force, enable our partners in positioning that, presenting that, and running these validation work with our customers. So look for more information in the coming weeks. We're going to be enabling all our selected partner network, not the entire ecosystem, just selected partners, to be able to showcase it, to demonstrate it, and to discuss customers on specific use cases. And then similar to what we do with Expert Capture, we run technical validation workshops and value assessments to really make sure that this is the right tool for specific needs and use cases.
Perfect. Thank you. One question that came in is around Magic Leap, and do you support it?
Yes. So Vuforia Engine supports Magic Leap right now. It's actually supporting that for the last 6 months now, if I'm not mistaken. But what I can tell you as well is that all our industrial products are working on Magic Leap support. I know Magic Leap are working on kind of the next gen of devices, but we are working on expanding our support to Magic Leap as well.
Okay, great. And we are short on time, but a couple other questions. How long does it take an AR project to get off the ground from inception to implementation? And I'll open that up to all of our panelists.
Well, that is a good question. This is Lonnie Ludwig, joined the panel here, and you know, it's one of those things that it depends, right? It depends a lot on scope of the project and what the targeted use case is. And actually, this question somewhat aligns well with the CBT process and going through a quick start process to accurately identify what the use case will deliver the most ROI is. And then we start small and build for scale. Starting small allows us to show that immediate or quick ROI, and it allows for a more quick delivery of the implementation. And then by building for scale, then just as the ROI will scale, the project scales, and you see that incremental ROI as the project scales. So hopefully that answers the question, but somewhat it's a depends, but the approach that CBT takes in working with PTC, we work for a quick time to delivery. So
anything to add there, Alex?
No, I absolutely agree. It very much depends on the use case and what's the value we're trying to achieve. We always start, kind of small and really focused on the high value, maybe lowest hanging fruit, maybe not, but the highest value use case to really drive something. With these tools, even with Engine, to build something, to take a CAD model with animations and to drop it on the floor, you can do it in exactly 5 minutes. But that's not how long it takes you to build a solution to a real production problem. But we're not talking here about quarters. We're not talking here about years. We're talking here about a matter of weeks. When we have a good use case scoped and defined, it's a matter of weeks until it's actually on the shop floor getting tested and running.
Perfect. And one last question here. It's around the quick start process that you walked through, Mike. It looks like there are a lot of resources that are required with that quick start, and they're wondering if there's an opportunity to meet prior to a quick start. So maybe not bringing in so many resources right off the bat.
Absolutely. So, we typically like getting people from the end user actually using it, from management to, our internal champions as well at the business. But we do a lot of pre-work just to kind of get a lot of those answers to maximize the time of everyone's resources. We don't want to take 2 hours of their day if it's not needed, but we do want a lot of that input from security to the end user to management, to really build out that best in breed solution for them.
And to Michael's point, and the quote that Michael referenced earlier in the presentation from Milwaukee, by having a larger, more diverse group, you really start to see use cases and common threads start to align. And maybe those aren't the perceived or the original use cases of a project or that the customer came into it with, and by going through this process, it really behooves the customer to bring those resources to bear, because getting those different perspectives really helps us to find a use case or land on a project that really drives the most value across the big business, and the time to value is much more quick.
Excellent. Well, that is it for the questions, guys. I am going to just wrap us up here. I just wanted to make note and call out a couple of our recent webinars that we released. So obviously part 1 of this series, that you can find that on our events page, cbtechinc.com/events, if you missed that. We also just released an IDC expert panel that was around IT/OT convergence. We had some really great panelists there. I'll just call out Scott Wiest. He's the CTO from HPE. And as you heard a quote earlier, it's from this session, Howard Heppelman, the VP from Smart Connected Operations at PTC. Both were on that session. So I encourage you to check that out. And then we have another expert panel coming up in April with NVIDIA and HPE, so keep a lookout for more on that. My last note here is that we are running a frequently asked questions segment that we'll be releasing soon, and so we're just going to put a question out to you all. If you have questions around augmented reality, connected worker solutions, all of that, we would love to hear from you, so we can include that in this FAQ segment. And you should see a link in chat and also after this webinar to submit your questions. So appreciate that if you have any to add there. And with that, I will just thank you again for all of you who joined us live. Keep a lookout for that free coffee for joining us. We truly appreciate it.